new with YouTube, you already know Big Flaco with a comic's perspective. You already know what time it is. Another positive message coming directly from the county jail as I smash, dash, slide on through a whole lot of energy, man. So please hit the like, subscribe, comment, do all those things to help support your boy, and hit that bell notification for future fire content. Now, send you guys' prayers. So we're gonna get to this one, man. We're gonna talk about prison hot ones, okay? And this is something that's kind of new, but something that years ago, even the Norteños, the Northerners used to uphold in their program. Now, they call it basically like a calentada, right? Which means a hot one, okay? You guys at first maybe thinking a prison hot one, we're talking about maybe, someone catching a body or killing somebody. No, that's not what a hot one is. Okay, a lot of the races do this, right? In particular, the Raza have used this for a long time, right? Except the Northerners stopped doing it sometime in the 90s. Now, we're also going to talk about fighting other Raza, right? And my views and my perspective of it. But let's talk about what a hot one is first and foremost. So, the 80 Chicanos, the Southsiders in California, even the biceps. Whenever you are found guilty of any type of infraction or rules violation, whatever it may be, owing somebody some money, owing another race some money, disrespecting another race, failure to comply with the program, right? After so many times, there's what you call a hot one, okay? And what this is where basically two individuals are going to come up in the cell, and they're basically going to give you like a hands-on discipline, okay? Now, me personally, I'm going to tell you guys, I've always been against hot ones, right? The Norteños at one time used to apply this in the 80s and 90s, okay? And, the reasons why they stopped it was around 1996, 97, okay? When all the implementations for the red-on-red policy were implemented and all the expectations as far as the bonds and bylaws that were being, given to regular Northerners, right? At that time, there was no such thing as Northerners. It was just Norteños, and you were a bro. You were an Orthodox structure member. That's all there was. And see, at that time, they used to have what you call hands-on. Okay, if a homeboy messed up, two homeboys would go up in there, or even one homeboy would go over there and just take off on them real quick. Okay, around that time, as the homeboy started to change the rules, okay, the red-on-red policy became a big issue. No more set tripping. No more doing drive-bys, no more tagging in other Norteño radios. All that stuff was imposed on the streets. And a lot of it had to do with San Jose at that time. Okay, because in San Jose at that time, there was a lot of drive-by shootings. I shot a drive-by shooting on a red-on-red at that time in 96. Okay, so I'm one of the ones that probably was the culprit that caused the creation of, not just me alone, but several other Northerners that were responsible for doing drive-by shootings back then to where they put the red-on-red policy. Okay, Fuerte, Tig, Skip, these were all the ones that pretty much drafted the red-on-red policy at that time. And I was actually one of the ones that had the whole written thing as far as the red-on-red policy, as far as how it was supposed to be imposed and what would happen for those that violated. And basically what happens if you violated the red-on-red policy, it was just through. Okay, you were done. Now, at the same time that the red-on-red policy came out, which was to cease any type of friction amongst Northerners, you were no longer able to fight other Northerners. You were no longer able to hands DP Northerners. Like I said before, we used to have hands on DP. You go roll us up in the cell and go put hands on a homeboy that wasn't programming, and you would tell him that next time, if he continues, he's going to be removed off the yard. Okay? But as far back as around 97, that was deleted from the program. And I've always felt that was important, because when you start to put hands on your own people, okay, whether you admit it or not, you're going to start to have some type of hostility towards that person. You're going to start to have some ill will. You're going to wait for that person to mess up. You're going to be the first one to want to raise your hand and have you done in. You're going to be the first one when he needs a hot one to go up in there and give him a hot one. So in order to promote unity, I've always felt that, the hot ones were not necessary. I always felt that everybody's career, you should always try to salvage a career. You should always try to uplift someone. And how are you uplifting your gente and strive for the betterment of your gente if you're putting hands on them? Now, I know they do it in AZ here. I know the Southsiders do it in Cali. Even the Bikers do it. The Border Brothers do it. All these other groups too, but the Northerners pretty much deleted it from their program. And a lot, like I said, had to do with, all it's going to do is bring dissension. All it's going to do is push people away. And as we already know, in California, compared to the Southsiders, the Northerners are low in numbers. So, of course, you know what I'm saying, it had those type of purposes, right? But I want to talk about also, in addition to these hot ones, right, okay, but the ability to fight other gente. Like here where I'm at about in Pima County, about 10, 12 years ago, people say it was really political. And so what I've learned, right, is that other Rasta, they can fight each other. There's no like red on red policy that's imposed here. It doesn't mean that you can sit there and create issues and conflict and just fight everybody that you want to fight because they're from another hood. No. But if you feel disrespected, if there's a quarrel, if there's an issue, right, by all means, you can take it in a cell and basically duke it out. Whether they're another race, whether they're even your own Rasta. So, and I kind of respect that. It's one thing I do respect because, like I said before, look at what happened with Gangsta Gucci, right? Chicks from West Side Mob. Big Mister, who has a lot of influence because of his rap music, right? Basically, at a car show, Gangsta Gucci did his thing. Okay, they wanted to find homeboy for doing that, red on red. He said, "Hell no, I'm not. This is personal. This has nothing to do with red on red." And see, like a lot of people try to do, they try to hide behind that red on red. They feel it's okay to disrespect or talk smack, and then when it becomes personal, one-on-one as a man, and you want to deal with it, what's the first thing they do? They basically strike it up and they go snitch out on you to the homie. It's basically what they do. It's basically a cowardice act. Now, I've always been a firm believer of promoting unity, showing respect, and not being a bully. Just because you can put hands on somebody, right, doesn't mean that, hey, you can just sit there and create an issue just to have conflict or, try to press up on your home bill or something like that. But I've always believed that if someone disrespects you and it becomes personal, by all means, I feel you should be able to, go slide them real quick, go catch that bait, as opposed to, oh, I can't, we're Northerners, we can't fight. I've always said that that's been one of the biggest things I've always been in disagreement about. And even during my career, right, I've always, like I said, I don't care what your status is, I don't care what your rank was, if there was a personal issue, we're going to handle it as men, first and foremost, because if it has nothing to do with the lucha, if it has nothing to do with the cause, if it has nothing to do with gang stuff, and it's personal, it's between me and you. Everybody else doesn't have to be involved. And so, like I said, there's different layers to this. And like I said, the hot ones, like I said, I think it's unnecessary just for discipline reasons. And the one reason is why years ago the Norteños made it a hands-off policy, right? Which means doesn't mean that there were times that you didn't use hands to have somebody removed off the yard. Sometimes if you want to investigate an issue further and you don't have the whole report to basically file the charges and you want to get back into the hole to investigate, sometimes you will have to do choking off arms just with hands. And basically you're giving them a pass to go back to the hole to basically report the issue to either get cleared or get deemed. Because not every matter do you have all the facts at hand. Now, those situations, I get that they're hands-on. But other than that, the NF made it, as far back as I think around 2002, the participation by mandate, and that all removals were to be done with weapons. What that's telling you is once someone's been confirmed, deemed no good, that a higher authority has marked this individual as being on the lista, right, that now they're to be removed. There's no hands-on. It has to be done with a weapon. And I remember we were pushing the issue that it couldn't be done anymore with basically a tomahawk. Because before what people were doing is they were doing drive-bys, right? They were hitting people with a tomahawk, and the two bombers would take off on them. And the whole purpose was just to get the person off the yard, right? Now what was going on was if the person had to really go, it had to be for an offense that was not salvageable. Trying to take someone's win. And with that, like I said before, you would have less individuals making decisions to have people removed. Because see, there was a time period when people thought like they were like John Gotti, just to have somebody removed, just to have somebody hit. Throughout my career, I've had to declare war before. I've had to have people removed, right? But every situation, right, I always try to make sure that, one, that they have reached all limits to being salvaged, which means can we rectify the situation? Is there a remedy here? Is there a way to fix it? If not, then we got to do what we got to do. And so when I hear about these hot ones, and we've seen Southsiders do it before to where they get stabbed, right? And then next thing you know, they get cleared. It happens all the time, but I don't know how I would feel if someone fucking stabbed me. Like, okay, we're supposed to be cool now? Nah, I wouldn't be able just to take that on the chin, And I used to always be amazed at individuals that had got hit. I mean, I've seen people get hit for mistaken identities and stuff, and how they didn't harbor any animosity. They didn't have no issues. I mean, just having someone go run up and giving you a hot one, to me, would probably give me all the reason to say pretty much, hey, you get the fuck on your way. Like I said, I feel like if it's personal, by all means, you should always be able to, confront the issue, go up in the cell and deal with it as men. But if you're using gang stuff and politics just to try to push an agenda or push someone out or to create friction or to create a fight, or, if you know off top that the dude's not even on your level and he ain't done nothing to you, I'm against bullies first and foremost. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that you're supposed to be anybody's doormat or anybody's punch bag. And if someone's out of pocket, I don't think that they should be able to hide behind Vick said red on red policy. And in some senses, I understand these hot ones, right? But like I said, I think that it's better to uplift your gente. It's better to be there supportive. It's better there to encourage them and teach them where they're wrong. Give them guidance. Because all you're going to do if you take off on your gente, and we seen it before where there's knuckleheads on the yard where they have to get disciplined after discipline. I've seen homeboys stand for months during that corner doing burpees, and every day they have to write an essay. But eventually they get it. They're not going to get it if you start taking fight on them. They're not going to get it if you start hurting them. And all it's going to do is going to turn individuals against you. And so these are the things that I'm learning, man, that's a little bit different as opposed to not just California politics. Like I said, the Southsiders, even the BBs, the Border Brothers and Bisons, they have their own hot ones that they give. Except from my understanding, that for the Bisons, when they give someone a hot one, they're not allowed to fight back. As far as like the Calico, the Sureños, and the Chicanos over here, you're expected to fight back. You're never expected to let anybody put hands on you. And that's the other thing that's a little bit different, man. The politics haven't gotten in everybody's way to where if you have an issue, there is a diplomatic way to go about it to where you can go handle your business if it's that personal, especially if it's another race. But you really have to be cautious. You have to really exhaust all remedies before you go there, because you never know what the adverse effects are going to be. You never know what the consequences are going to be. Something just as easy as a self-fight, where if someone overdoes it and gets really hurt, could be the reason for a riot to kick off. It happens all the time, man. And like I said, this is a topic that I've seen, I've witnessed, as far as how it transpired, man. And I get it. I understand it. Do I agree with it? In some situations, yeah. But for the most part, I get why the North Indian movement decided to pretty much abolish it from its regulations. Like I said before, in the 90s, it'd be common to do a hands-on DP. But I remember, too, one of the reasons why this was abolished was because there was individuals, say like you're from like Tito from Stockton was a prime example. And it was one of the reasons why he got deemed no good when he was in DBI, was because he was sending his homeboys from his town. He was from Triple West in Stockton, right? To go give somebody from either Fresno or San Jose a hands-on discipline, and next thing you know, the homeboys from Stockton would go in there and they would overdo it. Homeboys would get hurt. And so that's another reason, like I said, favoritism, individualism, people having, old conflicts that are supposed to be pushed to the side, and now when they get a position of status or rank, people back in the 80s and 90s would sometimes use it to let their own homeboys do what they want. Anyways, this is a topic I thought that'd be interesting. Like, once again, though, man, I hope everybody's having a positive day out there. Continue to do what you're doing. This is Flaco from a comic perspective. I'm out.